travel trolleys from our exotic gift
this fuel matter don't pass, be careful.
at Adam and Eve Luxury
In
Home
fact,
Store, number 8, Isaac John Street, GRA, Ikeja, Lagos.
at least for
Adam
the
and
next
Eve's luxury homeware store offers you
5
more than
days,
you
I don't
deserve.
have to complain.
Good what you deserve.
Adam and Eve Luxury Home
You don't buy fuel.
I deserve
Oh, mommy, now by luck, I see fuel. I go fight for filling station.
You went to go fight.
There, as the fight was moving on, they say, okay, just buy fuel. So you won't be angry anymore. That's why I see fuel buy you.
Always trying to keep him out of trouble.
Oh no, don't say that.
These two are on a mission to be the voice of the people. Lagos, are you ready? The Big Bird has landed.
We have landed, you.
And I'm Ifunanya. Join us every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on our brand new show.
If I open this my mouth, all tables scatter.
Father help us all.
Dr. SEUN KUTI and Iffy on the People's Perspective every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Ukraine say the people who come fight for them must still pay 1,000 for their own ticket and visa to come and fight. And people go pay. These Ukraine, they be scammers. These Ukraine, they be scammers. So you need to come and fight for you. I still have to pay $1,000 for ticket and visa. I'm about to put my life on the line here. Many people don't take this fight serious. Imagine, you know. Let me take off my shades, guys. So now if you see me, if you see my eye clear. Let's look at ourselves eyeball to eyeball.
Saving my folder, the file.
NDLA charges may stall Abba Kyari's extradition. Of course. I mean, that Abba Kyari thing is such a game. The game is so... I mean, so yesterday, before yesterday, Malami accepts the American request to extradite Kyari. The next day, NDLA files 37 count charge against him. So imagine, that means the lawyer is definitely going to challenge the extradition, that he has a case here to answer. So Kyari can say he did the right thing. NDLA can say they are doing the right thing, while Kyari doesn't leave Nigeria. So Malami, you know, they are trying to say federal government has washed their hand off the case. That is NDLA.
I saw update that they said they put security for him.
He's in jail and they have to put security for him. If that guy really decides to talk, that's why they don't want to extradite him, because they know he will talk in America. They don't want him to talk, because everybody is chopping out of the money. The ginger was like this. We need Molly for this kind of music in the studio.
Alright, 15 minutes past 11. Good morning once again. Welcome to the People's Perspective, brought to you by Africa's #1 luxury homeware store, Adam and Eve.
Yes, so the feng shui.
The feng shui.
To feng shui your life.
Feng shui your life.
Balance. You know?
Alright guys, welcome. It was a very heated conversation, the show right before the People's Perspective. I can't guarantee you that the conversation we're going to be having here aren't going to be heated, but one thing is for sure, that we're going to be giving you facts, and we're going to create more of a platform for you to join the conversation. It's called The People's Perspective, seeing things from your perspective. My name is Ifunanya, and in the studio with me, SEUN KUTI.
Yes, so...
We're going to be touching on some top stories. Let's just quickly get into it. Starting off with some information that, of course, we have been seeing around with the United Nations General Assembly 2 days ago. That's on Wednesday, overwhelmingly adopting a resolution that demands Russia
let me just stop
immediately
them there. Wait, let me just stop them there. We are still waiting for Israel to immediately withdraw from Palestine.
Wait.
1957.
Let's take it. No. Let's take it one bit at a time. Let's first of all,
the importance of
let's
this
first of all share the information, and then we're going to move on to information about why there is a particular importance
No.
and attention given to this particular war or contention between Ukraine and Russia. So before we get into that, so what was going on in the United Nations General Assembly, like I did mention, they came together to adopt this resolution that demands Russia to immediately withdraw from Ukraine. And of course, this is after the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. We've been seeing what's going on. Sadly, innocent people have lost their lives. We saw that there was a mass exodus of people out of Ukraine into their neighboring countries. We did report that Nigerians, thankfully, were able to find some form of welcome in those neighboring countries, which was contrary to the reports that we were getting at the beginning, where we were hearing that the blacks were not being allowed to go past the border. But then, thankfully, with all the information that was being given to us and with the attention that was drawn to that, we did see a reverse, and our Nigerian brothers and sisters were able to get to these other neighboring countries. And we did see the Nigerian government send out some flights talking about Max Air, talking about Air Peace to go into these countries to bring back our Nigerians to safety, of course pending when there is some form of rest or peace in Ukraine. Now, just speaking about what happened in the UN with countries that were either for or against the demand for Russia to withdraw from the invasion of Ukraine. We did see some countries, like 141 countries, that voted for Russian troops to withdraw. Countries including, of course, Nigeria, countries including Dominica, Cambodia, Egypt, Estonia, and the list goes on and on. And then we did see some countries who voted against that. Let's just take a look at this. So there are 5 countries who supported the Russian troops' presence in Ukraine: Belarus, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Eritrea, Russian Federation, and Syria, of course. And then there were 35 countries.
They don't pull Syria away.
There were 35 countries who abstained. Countries like Algeria,
We don't want none of
Angola,
this.
Exactly, Armenia, China,
Wise
Congo,
countries.
Cuba, El Salvador,
The wise countries
India, Iraq, Iran,
These have learned lesson.
Madagascar, Mali, Mozambique, Mongolia, Pakistan, Senegal, South Africa,
I say these
South
countries that have
Sudan,
sense.
Sri Lanka, Sudan, Vietnam, Sudan, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, a couple of African countries saying, you know what, this ain't our business. And then there were
Some countries
countries that were
don't even
absent. Azerbaijan, Burkina Faso,
Ethiopia.
Cameroon, yes, Ethiopia.
These are
Guinea,
wise countries.
Guinea-Bissau, Morocco, Uzbekistan, Venezuela, Morocco, Togo as well.
Waiting no
these countries
concern
are
you,
like,
no concern you.
it's not our business. All right, so just taking a look at the UN having, you know, the need to come together to vote for or against, to demand that the Russian troops get out of Ukraine. So let's start with the decision making and these countries that were for or against, and then we're going to segue into why the UN had to come together for this particular reason, when we know that there are other countries that are currently living in contention where they're being bombed at the moment, but we haven't seen, you know, a response from the UN in this, you know, in this manner coming together.
They do come together, but
Well, not as much as
they
this,
do.
and not as seriously as
It doesn't
this.
enter the news.
Oh, there you go.
CNN doesn't
it
care
means that
because
it
it's
means
America
that they're
that's
not putting
being
as
asked-
much importance to
No,
that.
it's because it's America being asked to leave other places.
Mm.
America and its allies being asked to leave, so it doesn't enter the news.
So do you think that
CNN
there's-
doesn't talk about it.
So do you think it's just because of the media, or particularly the world doesn't really pay as much attention or importance to these other countries compared to the way they're paying attention
The
to
Nigerian
Ukraine
media
and Russia?
The Nigerian media is a copy and paste media. You understand? So we don't really, and we can't afford. They can't afford it. Like, for example, NTA doesn't have any budget for international investigative journalism. You know, who is the NTA correspondent in New York, in London, in Dubai, all those things. You know, so even our private news agencies, they don't really have the the capacity to cover world news in the way that CNN does, you know, BBC does. So what they do is they give that job to CNN and BBC basically. So all they do are Reuters and all this that they get their news from. So whatever those people do not see as news, we don't see it here in Africa, because Africa does not get its own news. You know, we don't get our own news. So it's not as if these things don't happen regularly at the United Nations. They do happen regularly. You know, resolutions from everything. You know, even one of the interesting ones was they did a resolution on slavery for reparations for black people, and Obama, you know, decided that America should abstain, which was kind of interesting.
Wow.
You know, one of the things I hold against that one. Anyway, moving on, the UN, I think they've lost all kind of credibility in terms of engaging in international politics and conflict resolution, because the United Nations is not biased. I mean, it's biased. It's not supposed,
but it's not supposed to be biased. Yeah.
You know, they are biased towards America because America basically funds the United Nations. They pay all the bills. You know, so it is America's way. You know, I mean, going back to Lumumba, I mean, if we as Africans we really look at our history, you know, when the crisis in Congo started, Lumumba being the legitimate prime minister, well, and we as Africans there were naive. We believed in these institutions, called in the United Nations to act as the negotiator between them and Kivu, the breakaway region. And when these United Nations came, because Lumumba didn't know that they were against him, they walked towards his assassination. It was the United Nations that actually arrested most of Lumumba's places, closed the news agency so that people don't know that Lumumba had been arrested, so that Lumumba could not use the news. Had Lumumba trapped in his house for them to come and get him there, because they knew he was going to have to escape to Stanleyville and they can arrest him. Anyway, it's a complicated thing, but you know, Israel-Palestine, they've issued a resolution like this that Israel should leave Palestine since 1974.
Yes.
Who is going to enforce it? Who cares? Nobody cares. The ICC, for example, America is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court. So American President George Bush, Obama, these people are war criminals. We have to understand, they've killed millions of innocent people all over the world, and they have cases to answer in the Hague. America actually threatened the International Criminal Court that if they try, that they will sanction every judge that is sitting on the court. They will arrest every judge. They will do this because they didn't want to go and face their own day in the International Criminal Court for the crimes that they have committed against humanity. You know, so here we are, another resolution. Who is going to go and enforce it?
Now, speaking about enforcement, if we're asking who's going to enforce it, do enforcement sometimes come with sanctions, where some of these countries have like an agreement? It may not necessarily be written down, but based on the sanctions, that might somewhat strong arm the country or the party involved to then answer to the demands and the requests coming from the UN.
Well, what we have to realize that, you know, sanctions in themselves are an act of war. Sanctions are the modern day equivalent of a siege. You know, the way they used to fight wars before. When you want to fight, they let you know how to fight it by bringing their army to your doorstep and blockading you inside your house. So everybody's hiding in the castle behind the walls, you know, and this army is outside. You have to be fighting, but you are trapped. So sanctions are basically that today. It's how you trap a nation within its own walls to make sure you don't relate with other people. And, you know, the greed of the capitalist system in itself nullifies any kind of sanction that many people want to give rich nations. You can sanction a poor nation and then, you know, they will feel the effect. Yeah. But a big nation like Russia, you know, people like the Chinese, you know, what do you want to sanction? You know, what do you want to sanction about them that they will feel it? They will keep doing what they're doing. And also, sanctions are the way the West also steals. Let us be steals the resources of these so-called nations that they are sanctioning. You know, because up until now, all these Russian oligarchs were welcomed investors in all these economies. You know, and it should be a lesson to the Nigerian political rogues that are carrying all our money now to go and hide. They are welcoming them, collecting the money. They are building house in West End, collecting all the property in London and America. It is one day too, they will say they are sanctioning them and seize everything that it is stolen. You know, most time it is, sometimes it is the wealth of those countries, like in Libya's case. over $33 billion. They say it's Gaddafi's money that they are freezing.
Yeah.
No, but it was Libya's money that Gaddafi kept in foreign banks. Their foreign reserves, basically. And they froze everything. So the United Nations resolution is neither here nor there. Saudi Arabia is in Yemen right now. How many resolutions? That Saudi stop bombing Yemen. The Yemenis are getting bombed right now, worse than the Ukrainians, but nobody's talking about it. You know, they chased Chelsea, Abramovich out of Chelsea. But Saudi Arabia is allowed to buy Newcastle.
Wow.
While they are bombing the Yemenis people. So, I mean, what are we saying here? We as African people need to understand one thing, as John Henry Clark said. We have no friends. Absolutely no friends. This is going to be the title of my next bird's eye view anyway. We have no friends. So the African people can really know how to pick sides, you know. And there's only one side to pick. Our own side. We have no business in all this, whether they have resolution, no resolution, whether they are bombing themselves.
And I wanted to get to that. Just speaking about, your bird's eye view, which is always so profound and so in-depth. But speaking about the countries that were for and against, and out there Nigeria being for the Russian troops to get out of Ukraine.
Nigeria is for anything America is for.
So I was going to ask you that right now. Question is, why has Nigeria decided to officially take that stance? If you recall, at the very beginning, it seemed like Nigeria wanted to be neither here nor there, with the vague responses coming from the federal government. And then eventually we did see that, we don't support what's going on, in Ukraine. But now officially taking a look at what happened in the UN, why has Nigeria decided to take that stance against the invasion?
Okay, so the Nigerian army right now is invading eastern Nigeria. As we speak on this radio, there's an invasion, different program, Crocodile Smile, this one, that one, Python Dance, different programs attacking eastern Nigeria because the East still they want to leave. They want independent Biafra, hip hop. They are attacking, invading eastern Nigeria. If you tell, so when it comes to, what they say about sticking eye and log, splinter in my eye and log
before
your,
you take, before
your
you
eye.
take,
So that's
splinter
Nigeria's
off someone
problem.
else's eye,
That's Nigeria's problem. We are talking about Ukrainians, where we have similar. In fact, Nigeria has we are in two war fronts. We are fighting in the north against Boko Haram, in the east against IPO. We have our own serious issues that Nigerians are dying. Over 2 million Nigerians have been displaced because of the northern war. Internally displaced people living in squalor in camps. We are not taking, Nigerian government is not taking any serious. We are doing what we are doing, but we still have time to go and choke mouth. Russia should leave Ukraine. What's our business with what's going on in Russia?
So now the question is, what are our investments in that regard? Because like you did mention, you said whatever America decides, Nigeria will follow. But taking a look at how so many times we have discussed that there is more of personal interest as opposed to national interest, that if we're comparing to what the Western world does in terms of maybe corruption, we say, they're corrupt for themselves, to protect their own. In terms of Nigeria right now taking this stance, what's in it for us? If we support, if we do not support, or if we are neutral, what are the different things that come after? If we decided not to support, if we decided to be absent, like some of those countries that were absent, if we decided to say, we support this invasion and this stance that we've taken for not supporting it, what's in it for us?
Absolutely nothing for the Nigerian people. What is in it for us really? Other than we are putting more young Nigerian lives at risk. Meaning, if this thing escalates, so the federal government of Nigeria has to really look. If this thing escalates to what they are saying is going to be a world war, is Nigeria going to be involved in this so-called world war? Why should, as I said last week in the show, why should world wars always be started by the minority of humanity? Europeans are the minorities of this world. We as African people, indigenous people of this world, we are the majority. Yet we have started no world wars. Yet no quarrel, no pain, no angst, no anguish we've been through amongst each other has led to the whole world fighting. How come every time? 2 times now, the whole world has erupted into violence due to the whims and feelings and emotions of the world's minority people. there's nothing to gain for Nigerian people by that vote or not. You know, the only thing that is there to gain is that our politicians can continue to enjoy the protection of their imperialist masters. You understand? So that our wealth can still be siphoned and their own 10% can be secured. Other than that, what are we? Just the way when Obama was destroying Libya, Jonathan was the first president in the world to congratulate and support the destruction of Libya. You know, so Nigeria has always been blessed with, you know, or should I say cursed with leaders that can't see further than their nose. You know, they can't even understand their position, you know, in global politics. The relationship between the historical responsibility, you know, of our country and what they have to do now to meet up with that responsibility. It is far from their reasoning, you know.
All right, before we move on to other stories, please feel free to join the conversation. What are your thoughts about this particular topic of focus at the moment, talking about countries coming together in the UN to vote for or against the Russian invasion of Ukraine, with countries coming together to vote for the Russian troops to withdraw from Ukraine. What are you trying to say?
Let's not forget the Iraqi war. When, you know, I was watching one of the Russian foreign minister Lavrov was about to give a speech at the UN over this before they did this vote, and all these supporters of America just walked out. You know, these are the same people that sat there in the UN. So we have to really look at these people with some kind of... This is the same United Nations that Colin Powell sat and brought yellow cake out. I was shaking fake uranium that they got in Iraq, and people were clapping for these lies. Now 3 million Iraqis dead, no single weapon of mass destruction found. What happened? What happened? Nothing. You know, so that's why I said, what is UN resolution? In the issue, is it because they are Europeans that this UN resolution is definitely going to stick? I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. So,
all right, 08092345913, 08092220913, 015150913, 015151913. Please feel free to send your tweets to our handle at Lagos Talks 913. Ensure you use the hashtag The People's Perspective. Please use the hashtag The People's Perspective so that we can see your tweets and read out your tweets. And if you want to send a WhatsApp message, please feel free to send it to 0809-234-5913. Lagos Talks, good morning. What's your name?
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
We can hear you. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning. Good morning.
What's your name? Good morning.
This Ukraine war. I don't support what Russia is doing there.
wait, can you tell us your name first?
Very fine.
All right, I don't think he can hear us, but give us a call back and let's get your take. This is coming from a listener. You didn't mention your name, saying, good morning, Shewan Ifi. I hate all this hypocrisy coming from our journalists. Just like Shewan said, we have loads of wars here in Nigeria currently and wants to come. We should be thinking of how to fight our own war. I think I'm beginning to admit that our government is backing the terrorists up north, saying that Boko Haram are agitating for cancellation of Western education. Please, what's happening to our education these days with the cause of our government? How can you close all schools because bandit attacks schools and not doing anything to stop the operation of the bandits? Now, ASU, this is coming from Michael Adams, saying all this came to light to me during this Russia and Ukraine crisis. This plan of perpetual impoverishment was hatched by these world powers and accepted by the greedy, privileged few amongst us. NATO and US can invade other countries in the name of searching for nuclear weapons to destroy the progress that the country has made by throwing them backwards to start all over again. But now Russia did the same thing and they should be banned from humanity. This is coming from Michael Adams. Lagos Talks, good Good morning. Who's speaking?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Hello?
We can hear you. Good morning. What's your name?
Joe from Bariga.
All right. Let's get your take.
Ify, and I'm greeting
Seun
your colleague there.
Kuti.
Yes, Ify, well, I'm not, it's not like I'm derailing from what we are discussing. Ify, let me make a small presentation about our local government here, Shomolu. We about COVID-19, we took the first vaccine and they asked us to come for the second one. But we found that there was nobody in the local government there again. And then when we inquired, they said, well, Lagos State government did not pay them. So we are all so confused. So that was my it's very, very important issue.
All right.
So
Thank you
that
very
is
much
please.
for informing us on that one. Back to the topic
Wait,
of
but
focus.
that guy should know that COVID is out of the news now. You shouldn't worry about vaccine. If you check news for the past, since Russia, see, Western news is about death.
Wow.
What is killing people? It's not about building, it's not about coming together. I think sometimes I watching the news for me these days, you know, it's difficult. I don't listen to mainstream news anymore. To get news, I actually go and listen to independent journalists, you know, all over the world. They have their networks. You know, there's a great website I use also called Counterpoint, you know, because I always realize, like, it's like they are only interested in death, destruction, killing, separation, you know, and so many things are happening in the world that is about life, building, you know, the environment, all these things that really matter, you know. Anyway, it's just, the news is weird. So anyway, you shouldn't worry too much about this COVID thing. I've checked the news. Russia is the one killing the most people now. So Russia is in the news. I've not seen COVID recently. COVID needs to step its game up. Putin is ahead.
Let's see this. Lagos Talks. Lagos Talks. Good morning. What's your name?
Hello, Michelle.
My name is Ify. Good morning. What's your name?
Okay, sorry. Good morning.
How you doing?
All right. Let's hear you.
I am very happy for what Seun has said this morning about the wars that we are fighting in Nigeria. And Nigerian government, as hypocrites as they are, they refuse to remove the lock in their eyes and they focus on the mood that is in another person's eyes. I think the United Nations, for me, whatever the solution they talk, I want to look at them as toothless bulldogs. Because when you have now get sanctions, we take a resolution, and those are still killing, no action. The same thing goes on here. What they have in their charter that agitation for self-determination is not a crime, according to the United Nations. Why is it that the Easterners now agitate to govern themselves? Because according to them, their Buri Accord was that no victor, no France. Let us agree to stay together. And now we are not staying together equitably. And they agitate. Then you send your armies to go and be killing children, burning houses, and then the United Nations is not taking any action. They are not celebrating it there. That's why I say they are hypocrites. And then they close their eyes to what they should do. And open because their money is concerned and they want to confiscate some people's money. Sean, thank you.
All right, thank you
It's
very
all
much.
about the money.
For
It's
your
all about the
take.
money. Those Russian people, all their money, they've been stealing their boats. Uzmanov, they've stolen his boat in Germany. The Germans have stolen his boat. He's stealing. Nobody, after somebody has bought something, you know, because if we're going to talk about stolen wealth, like the Russian oligarchs, you know, when I hear this word, Russian oligarchs, I don't really. So, what is Bill Gates if he's not an American oligarch? You know, what is Elon Musk? In fact, Elon Musk is the worst of them all. His wealth came from his father, who was an apartheid miner, who was mining in South Africa under apartheid. Do you know what that means? He was using slave labor of African people to make all the wealth that Elon Musk is making nice today. I'm a genius. You know, what is oligarch? Which billionaire in the world today is not an oligarch of his own system? Which of them? And claim, in fact, Bill Gates doesn't pay tax. China is not capitalist because capital can never control the Communist Party of China. The Politburo can never be influenced by capital. The billionaires of China cannot use their money to decide policy in China. He said, even though the Chinese people cannot change their government, they can change policy. As they have changed policy in the last 66 years. See, but in America, you can change government every time, but you can never change policy. And it is fact. It is fact. So all these words they use is theft. It's not about, we know that every money, most of the people, all these foreigners going to invest in all these their countries are stealing it from their local economies. They know it as well as we know it. Where is Desani today? Is she not in England? Are we not shouting here in Nigeria that she's wanted for crimes? Has the English government given her up? Is she not an oligarch? No, I mean, it's amazing how we as Africans see this act as some kind of good, benevolent act, not self-interest, not act rooted in self-interest, selfish acts. Anyway.
All right, it is 11:43. Remember, your favorite show, The People's Perspective, is brought to you by Adam and Eve, Africa's #1 luxury homeware store. Like I would always say to you, go visit number 8 Isaac John Street, Ikeja, GRA, Lagos, or you can check out their website if you are not one for visiting, the physical location.
You should visit this physical location. I'm telling you, see, me as an adult, not a lot of things excite me anymore. But when I visited Adam and Eve, I was truly.
This is Sean's opinion.
I'm giving people story of something I experienced.
Okay, carry on.
Why is it Nigerians don't like truth? You don't like truth. If I'd not gone there before now and I was just talking because I can't talk some kind of already written what they'll say, oh nice, but I'm telling you my personal experience. I experienced it personally. I experienced it.
Alright guys, go visit their website, adamevehomeware.com. adamevehomeware.com, and on the website you'd see a variety of options, from dining to outdoor to kitchen to even leather to electricals, bed and bath. It's simplified for you on the website so that you know exactly where you're going to, exactly what you probably might want to get for your home. Like I mentioned, if you're seeking to turn your house into that place of solace, that place of warmth and beauty, then go visit Adam and Eve, Africa's #1 luxury homeware store. All right, I could see your calls coming through, but before taking your calls, let's just quickly move on to this one. Let's touch on this one very quickly with the Hush Puppy case. This is an update where the federal government has finally approved the extradition of Abba Kyari to face charges. The federal government has actually commenced this move to extradite him. We know that currently he's a suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, and the government has started the move to extradite him to face the fraud charges in the United States of America. Now, according to reports, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, he filed an extradition application at the Federal High Court in Abuja following a request, by the diplomatic representative of the U.S. Embassy in Abuja. Now, this request from the U.S. authorities, according to Malami, is, and I quote, for the surrender of Abba Kyari, who is a subject in a superseding 3-count indictment. And the AGF said that the application that he was satisfied that the offences in respect of which Mr. Kyari's surrender was sought was neither political nor trivial. The last time we spoke about Abba Kyari, we were talking about the NDLEA and the charges brought against him, and we tied it to the charges that he ought to be facing in the US at the moment, some fraudulent charges, and some of the things that we did dissect, and some of the things that we did put out was that it was somewhat timely, so to speak, when he ought to be extradited to this particular country. Then these NDLEA charges are coming up, and we know, according to what our law states, as regards people who are facing current charges in Nigeria, they ought to be here to face those charges. And we know with some of the disadvantages, or the issues, should I say, that our judicial system is facing at the moment, there are some court cases that sometimes go on for 4 years, 5 years,
Is there no election going on somewhere
years,
that Abba Kyari can run for office?
Anyways, now the federal
No.
government has finally said that they are starting the process of his extradition to the US.
This is probably came at the wrong time. If I come next year, like towards the election, I don't declare Abba Kyari for senator, Northeast Central Zone. No, it's true because we predicted this. This is the game, you know. The federal government wants, through Malami, is trying to show that they are following due process and all for his extradition to the United States and all for justice in this matter to get to the bottom, you know. But at the same time, a federal agency, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, has also filed charges against Kyari. Now, as I keep saying, there's something fishy about the NDLEA charge against him that is coming out now, because the footage against him, the whole setup, had happened since, and it happened, they didn't arrest him. And I always say, any sting operation where you have fallen, go and ask Buju Banton in America. Now the restaurant where you from talk say yes, in agree to carry the drug, then they hold land. Once they've caught you in the sting operation, you are not living there.
Of course.
The cops will bust in, everybody has but it was because this was the setup, it was the stage setup. So now Malami is acting like he's following due process, that he's following rule of law. He has agreed for extradition. And the same yesterday, NDLEA filed 37 charges, I think, or something, against Abba Kyari. You know, so what are we saying here? We all know his lawyer will only come now and say he's challenging the extradition because his client has a case to answer in Nigeria. You understand? So everything will be wrapped up smoothly in a nice bow. Because, as I said, you know, if you look at Hush Puppy's page back in the day, he had many links to Nigerian politicians. Even Atiku, Abubakar Atiku was in the picture with this guy. You understand? I don't think Atiku has taken picture with me before. Come on, Abubakar Atiku, what's going on there? How come you have picture with Abba Kyari and not with me? What I mean, with Hush Puppy.
Hush Puppy.
How come? I mean, I used to say Hush Puppy has done more, you know, for the image of Nigerian people that I have. Atiku, what's going on here? Or is it because of my big mouth?
Yeah, well, you know, that could be a part of it. That could be a part of it.
You know, so nobody wants Abba Kyari to go and what's what I'm looking for here? To go and
to be a whistleblower?
No, because I'm sure Hush Puppy has blown everything.
Whoa.
That one, I'm sure. Looking at him, Ramoni, you know, looking at Ramoni's posture, Ramoni's physique, you know, he has a lot of cushion for the pushing. And you know how it is in American prisons. No rhymes intended. Listen, I do this. He has a lot of cushion for the pushing, and you know how it is in American prisons. You know,
we don't know how it is. Shewan, would you like to shed some more light?
Well, I would advise that you save yourself this knowledge. There's nothing good for you. There's nothing good for you here. You know, so I'm sure he has sung like a canary.
Wow.
And all Abba Kyari will go out there and do is to validate they need somebody to corroborate those stories. You know, the Nigerian government, they know they don't want Abba Kyari to go, because now this is the police official that will now have to corroborate all those stories that Hush Puppy would have sung to them. You understand? So that's why the Nigerian powers that be will make sure that Kyari doesn't go and join Hush Puppy.
Yeah.
You know, but Kyari, by his own words, has some clothes of Hush Puppy that is still with him. No, it's true. Listen. There's nothing near hate more than any kind of theft or somebody not getting what is theirs.
Exactly.
I'm a man of justice. You understand? So, for me, the only reason I support this extradition of for them to extradite our Abba, our Abba to America is to take Hush Puppy's clothes that were in his office. Take it to him.
Exactly. It's his clothes. He's entitled to those clothes.
Can we take it?
After paying.
Listen.
Wow.
Over 20 and something million, they say pass through his account and Abba Kyari's brother, and you want him to leave those clothes. Come on, guys. Let's help Hush Puppy. Let's help Ramoni get his clothes. You know, hashtag help Ramoni get his clothes. You know, but
Says hashtag.
no,
All
but
right,
I think
so-
they won't let him go. They won't let Kyari go. But let's see. I'm sure his lawyers will file a motion. You know.
All right, so
Everything is
very
wrapped up real
quickly,
nice.
it's 11:52, but I just want us to touch on this. But next week, hopefully next week Friday, as you know, is the International Women's Month, and next week is going to be the International Women's Day. And with what Lagos Talks has planned out, we're going to ensure that every day during the week coming next week is going to be focused on gender-centered topics in particular. And I want us to touch on this because when we talk about feminism in Nigeria, we cannot but mention your family, especially Fumlera and SEUN KUTI. And we know that just a few days ago, we did see women protesting sadly because some gender-inclusive laws were rejected in the House. And I'm talking about bills like a bill to provide seats for women at the National Assembly, specific reserved seats for women in the National Assembly, and things like affirmative action for women in political party administration, things like granting citizenship to spouses of Nigerian women. If they marry foreigners, they should be allowed to somewhat grant citizenship.
Which foreigner even is coming for Nigeria?
To their spouses.
That's why we are not giving them.
And even,
what kind of person is coming from Nigeria? Yeah, we are suspicious. We are suspicious.
Even the indigenship, saying that a married Nigerian woman who happens to get married to a man from another state should be granted indigenship. We know that in the past they have faced issues where those women cannot run for political office in those particular states because it is not recognized by the law. Now these are
even
some
me too. I tried to get indigenous certificate for Lagos State.
And you didn't get it.
I couldn't too. They say that they know me. I'm from Ogun State. That's what they told me. That they can only give me certificates of residency. I said, what do you mean?
Wow.
The Ogun State in my whole life, I don't think I've spent up to 2 weeks combined in Ogun State. Combined. If they count the amount of days, it's up to 2 weeks. I've spent, and I'm 39 years old.
Wow.
And you're telling me I'm not an indigene of Lagos.
Oh. Therein lies one of the issues. But just to touch on what's going on with these gender inclusive laws. Now, taking a look at what the spokesperson had said as regards this, saying that number one, the lobbying for this, because the women came out and they were protesting, they were like, oh, so the National Assembly was saying that the lobbying for that came late, number one. Number two, he also said that the constituents that are being represented by the members of the House are still very traditional and cultural in nature.
Yeah,
that's the reason why members of the House did not align with some of these laws or these bills that were put across for some form of gender inclusivity.
I want more women, women in Africa need to become more political. They need to take a page out of my grandmother's book and begin to not see themselves as integrating into this system. We need African women to be thinking of upending this system.
Okay.
You see, this is my grouse with feminism, like I always say, is that we are trying to make the world we're trying to make everybody into white men. Feminism is simply saying, this system is great, accept us women inside, give women equal footing on this system.
Okay.
But equality with your oppressor does what? Makes you your oppressor. Women must be looking to upend this system, not trying to integrate into it, not trying to go and use their talents to make it work better. 5 of the world's top, at least the last time I checked, this was like 2 years ago, because I was doing a program on feminism. So 5 of the world's top leading arms manufacturing companies were run by women.
Wow.
Does that mean that they're not bombing women and children in third world countries? Now that women are running these things. Hillary Clinton was a woman and she started the war in Libya. At the end she said, we came, we saw, he died. The most callous masculine statement anybody can ever make after millions, 1.5 million people have died, including women and children. So what I'm looking for is a world where women are trying to bring femininity back. We have to be able to share again. See, these things are missing in this masculine system, this patriarchal European system that is running the world today. We have to understand that those things that are, those feminine things that make life actually sweet, that bring balance to the world, is rejected by this system. Sharing, kindness, love, togetherness, all these things that we generally relate with femininity, not the politicization of the woman, of womanhood called feminism. You understand?
How do
So
we?
I now find that many of the feminists basically are just behaving like men. They are trying to behave like men, and we all know that men are the ones wrecking this world. This energy is wrecking this world. This energy is not preserving this world.
So, Sharon, before you carry on, in what sense are you saying that women are acting like men in these different instances? For instance, with what happened
Desiani,
in the
for
national.
example.
Before we get to Desiani, because Desiani is one out of how many women? However, the women are seeking more opportunity. For instance, if you are in a country that is being led by 95.5% male lawmakers who are making laws that include women, of course there will not be pure representation. And the women are saying, give us at least 111 seats, when it comes to the National Assembly. Let women be duly represented. How is that not us trying to add our femininity? Because if there is already an existing system that is not properly representative of of women who make 50% of our population.
What I'm saying, because you're asking for a quota to run in the system. No, they're trying to change the system so that you can be truly represented. Women are saying, guarantee us this amount of these women, not women, because these women I don't think represent all women in Nigeria also. But they're saying, guarantee us this amount of seats in this your game. Give us cards too on the deck. Let's sit down on the table.
So
and
how then can we make gender inclusive laws if we don't have proper representation amongst the lawmakers to make those laws?
Gender inclusive laws exist due to patriarchal oppression in the first place. That is what the system runs on. So if you put 100 women, for example, in the National Assembly, it's not going to change that. They'll still come out voting the same way they've been voting in the National Assembly. You will find out that these women will now enter the National Assembly and vote against gender equality. You'll be surprised about how.
But how can you say that if they have not gone into
example.
the House?
Let
If
me
these
give you-
111 seats
Can I
have
give you
not
an
been
example?
made
I
available.
can give you an example. Every governor has a wife in the house now.
Okay.
Doesn't he have his own wife in the house? And every president has first lady, right? So when they want to give birth, where do they go? Europe and America. And they all give birth, knowing fully well that they can't give birth in Nigeria. Okay, so where is their care for other Nigerian women who cannot travel to America and England to give birth?
The question is that the 111 seats, are they reserved for the governor's wives?
No, Tinubu's wife is there.
Because the
They are
governor,
the ones that will get there.
saying these
I'm telling
people,
you, but they're the ones that will get there.
But Sheung,
Tinubu's
remember
wife
when
is
we
there.
when
They
we talk
are the
about
ones-
when we
I'm giving
dissect
you a
these
tip.
issues
Let's not-
on air, right?
No.
We can't say, but they are the ones that are going to get
But
there.
it's the fact.
That's one of the
They
issues
are
that we're
the-
facing.
So if you are asking for these people to give you this specific amount of seats, and you are asking them, not that you are demanding or you are organizing to get in there by your own accord. You want to be sure it is their wives and their daughters and their agents that they will prepare for those seats. Not the people not for the benefit of the people.
So I feel like that's already a defeated battle if you're saying that. Why? Because we know that where Nigeria is going to, where we want Nigeria to go to, it has to come with a multifactorial approach. One being the reorientation of the people. Another, like one of the things that you say, people organizing. Another should also be gender inclusive laws.
Yes.
Another should be proper representation of all genders in the lawmaking seats. So if we're saying already that if those seats are made available, they are going to be putting their daughters and their wives. Already that's a defeated battle.
Yes, because
how about we
women
make those seats available first?
Women can organize outside of these people and not even ask for the seats to be made available and still win them. You understand? So giving our power, like we're acting like African Americans who are a minority in America and say women are a majority in Nigeria.
Yes,
we are acting like minority in asking for affirmative action. The minority of African Americans insisting that white America secures them particular positions in schools, in government work, so that they can be represented. Because they cannot win those things by... but women are a majority in this country. Women are more than men in Nigeria.
And we know. So
why can't women truly organize politically for change in this country? Why are we asking the men? Why are we saying, men, secure us this? when you have more
because
political
at the
power
moment
than
the
men,
men have the power. But you know what? That's
You
the
have
same
just not
thing.
organized.
No, that's the same thing we should say to the poor. Because we can say to the poor.
Yes.
Exactly. So clearly what we are currently facing is the fact that the minority have the power at the moment, or seemingly have the power, which is making these laws.
And
if
this
we're
kind
being
of
very
narrative-
honest with
this kind of
ourselves,
narrative-
they are the lawmakers.
this kind of narrative strengthens that power. It doesn't reduce that power.
So now the question is, if we're looking at a multifactorial approach, are we not going to say that there should be representation
Because
in
you know,
the
don't get
National
me twisted.
Assembly?
There are women in the National Assembly right now. Are they champions of women causes? They are there. In your mind, are they, when you sleep in your house, do these women project the image of like Fumilayo will project in your mind that they are in there fighting for women? No, because you see, my dad told me something. I said it in one event I went to. There's no change a cockroach wants to make from the belly of a chicken. Once the chicken has eaten the cockroach inside his belly, is digesting it. So when we say we want to go and enter their system, that system will swallow you up, because being a senator is not only about that thing you want to go and do. There are so many other things you will do. There are so many other compromises
Exactly.
you have to make.
And
so if you are going into the business of this with these men, they will say, okay, we want to give you this, but you have to give us this.
You know what I like? You just highlighted one of the issues, because that cockroach being in the belly of the chicken is somewhat akin to the minuscule number of women that are in the belly of a male-dominated lawmaking system. Hence why we are asking not for just one seat,
but the men will
3
still
seats,
dominate.
but 111
but the men will
seats
still have
in
the
the belly
majority.
of the chicken. But let's start with the 111
But
seats.
women can have the majority if they organize for it. This is what I keep saying. If women organize politically, why are we not? Why don't we want to organize? Why are we trying to skip organizing politically? Why do we want to keep asking our oppressors to create, to give, to place? Where's the handout? Let it come down. We don't need that. In this political system, as I said, affirmative action is an American idea, specific for the American situation. We as Africans are all Africans here. Our women, according to our population census, are more than us. The issue with African women is even deeper than we want to discuss here. Many African women embrace a religions that already say that they are second, they are afterthought.
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, God created this. European God created an Abrahamic God. He created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Saw it that it was good. In these 7 days, he did not create the woman. He had no woman in his plan. You have to understand that. Women came as an afterthought. And in this their system, that is how they always address women issues. I always tell people that's why a man can never know the poverty of a woman. No matter how poor you are as a man, you can just walk out of your house. Even though you brush your teeth, you come out, yeah, you're a man. But a woman without makeup, woman without lipstick, without sanitary pad, poverty for women is different in this system. So if we know that we truly want to bring change in this world, we cannot be thinking of how we want to work with a system that is inherently against the development of women. We must be looking at how to upend it completely. Women must be organizing without this system to say we are coming for this system, we are coming to change it. We are bringing ourselves into the Senate. Why would Nigeria support that?
I also do
women
believe
should
that,
also give
that
their
the
support.
system should be changed from within as well.
It can't
Because
be.
if we say
This
that,
is a
because
dream.
we keep
What is the within?
because
Who wants to change the
Cheryl,
system from within?
you keep on saying we should organize.
Yes.
How many times have we organized and we've gotten a favorable response or a desirable
We've never
response?
organized politically in this country.
So you feel like nothing that the people have done has been a proper organization
For
when you
politics.
talk about the protests that
This
people
protesting,
do.
organizing politically is different from protesting. It is protesting. We have not really organized ourselves for political power in Nigeria as the people. So it is not about saying we are going to protest. Protesting is nothing. Protesting is a child throwing tantrums, and your parent cares.
But
answer.
Cheryl, for a system to change, like I mentioned, multifactorial approaches like also changing from within, because we already have an
I always say,
existing.
give me I always
we
say
have
this to
we
people.
al- we al- we
Give
always
me
have
an
we already
example
have an existing
of a system that has ever changed from within.
We
One.
already have an existing system, which is that we have the rule of law. In as much as I know that we have our own defects here and there, but we all understand that the laws that are being made by these lawmakers are being upheld somewhat by the law. And so if these laws do exist, it means that there has to be some form of change from within? Because if people don't go inside to be able to influence the right laws.
The law is never, the law is not always just. So you have to understand that the law is the law. It has nothing to do with justice. There was a time that it was legal to lynch a black person on the street for just looking some people in the eye.
So
The law and what is legal and what is just, always two different things. My point is that you can never, nobody has ever in this world changed any system from within. From within, the system is full of benefits for those that are enjoying the system. They would never move an inch to change their comfortable position. Whatever change has to happen in this world always comes from without. The discomfort, those things that will make those within the system begin to see that we have to change, must come from without. Women must begin now to say, we want to only vote for senators that have this gender equality as their main. You have to create.
How can we vote for those people when we're not even being given the opportunity in the political parties? Hence the reason why we are asking for these laws.
Listen, it doesn't even have to be women. As I said, women must organize themselves. And as I said, you have the power in this country. Your vote is the most in this country as women. I said, we will only support those that support us. In this way, women will
you know what? I think we would definitely take this a step further next week, which is the International Women's Week.
Yay.
So on Friday we're going to be touching on this because there's several areas I do not actually agree with.
Well,
because we can take a look at it as the savior mentality, saying that change has to come from without.
Yes.
Saying that the people outside have to come and save us. But what about
not
within?
without. I said,
because we always talk about within.
I mean without the system. So within the country,
I feel that within change has to come from within as well. But
not within
we will
the system.
talk about this next week. Like I mentioned, we're going to be focusing on women-centered issues. It's 9 minutes past 12. Thank you so much, Big Bird, as always.
Bye,
It's always a
everybody.
pleasure having you here. So before saying goodbye, would you like to share your details?
It's Big Bird Kuti on Instagram, Abba Kyari on Facebook, and Real SEUN KUTI on Twitter.
All right, guys, reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter at Ify_I. That is IFY_.